We are 13 days in. And I was praying and asking, Lord, what would he have me to say to his people today? I said, we have been talking about having a vision for 2019, making sure that you had a plan, that literally you didn't just let 2019 just happen, but that you actually had a plan of action and a plan of attack for the year so that you could get the most out of it and you can get from it what God has purposed for you. And we talked about how we should be praying and asking God to show us exactly what he had purposed for us in 2019. Asking God to let us know what the vision was for us for 2019. Making sure that we could maintain the vision before our eyes. So we can write the vision, make it plain, so we could run thereby. And I said, okay, Lord, we've been talking about vision and we've been talking about making sure that 2019, that we could get the most out of 2019. And I said, am I still there? Am I still talking about vision? And he said, well, no, I need you to make the people mindful of something else that's very, very important. And I said, okay, Lord, well, what is it that you would have me to make them, aware of or to bring back to their remembrance? And the word or the phrase that continued to come up over and over and over again in my spirit was one simply of first fruits. And I said, okay. And he starts saying, because I want you to make sure part of this whole process, we talked about you were getting ready to cross over Jordan, if you will. You crossed over into 2019. You came over into a new year. It's like coming into your promised land. And as you come over into your promised land, into your new situation, whatever that might be, he said, you need to make sure that you have your vision and you have your priorities, and you have to make sure that you keep God first. And he says, and one of the ways that you recognize and emphasize that God is a priority in your life is not forgetting about first fruits. And I said, okay, Lord. Now, he said, we were talking about in Sunday school this morning a little bit about tithes and offering. And I said, okay, so am I going there? Am I dealing with Malachi? Am I looking at this whole concept of, what we are supposed to be doing as children of God and making sure? And he said, well, it's part of Malachi, but it's not all of Malachi. I don't want you to stay there in Malachi, but I do want you to start with Malachi. I said, okay. So, and we're still talking about first fruits. So God said, go to Malachi, the first chapter. And he says, I want you to start off with the first chapter in the 6th verse. And it says, a son honoreth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is mine honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear, saith the Lord of hosts unto you? O priests that despise my name, And ye say, wherein have we despised thy name? He says, ye offer polluted bread upon mine altar. And ye say, wherein have we polluted thee? If that ye say, the table of the Lord is contemptible. And if ye offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if ye offer the lame for sick, is not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee? Or accept thy person, saith the Lord of hosts? It says, and now I pray you, beseech God, that he will be gracious unto us. This hath been by your means. Will he regard your persons, saith the Lord of hosts. So he paused me there, and he reminded me of something that I have said, and it seems very appropriate at this time. He says, look, your government has certain requirements of you as it relates to you dealing with the fruit of your labor, with your income. Since we're in January now and everybody's mind has immediately turned to taxes and paying the government, making sure that the government has what the government has required and expected of us, whatever our tax rate is. We want to make sure that taxes are paid, and if we've paid too much, we say, tell the government, give me a refund, give me my money back. But we're concerned about looking at the issues of taxes and our government, and he starts saying, now, you obviously hold the government at a certain level of regard, and people start telling you, don't mess with them taxes, don't play with them taxes. Uncle Sam, don't play. And you start saying to yourself, you obviously hold Uncle Sam or the government at a certain level of respect. Right? And he starts saying, now, you are mindful of making sure that you give them. He says, are you going to treat your government better than you treat your God? He says, now, clearly, you wouldn't give the leftovers to your God or to your government. It shouldn't be. You wouldn't say to Uncle Sam, well, I had to pay all this other stuff, and all I got left is this, so take that as taxes. I hope that's enough. Uncle Sam, as we say, takes his off the top. Takes his off the gross. You see, now when we get ready to talk to God, we only want to talk about the net. God starts saying, you know, most of us, we even when we think about tithing and offering, we look at, okay, how much did I get in my check? And see, your check only shows you the amount that's in your check is just simply the net left after Uncle Sam has taken his. And God starts saying, well, how come Uncle Sam gets his off the top, but you want to give me mine off the bottom? Why are you treating your government? Why is your government given more honor than your God? He said, especially in light of the fact your government just shut down on you. And we are worried about making sure we pay the government, and they're not even functioning. And God takes no time off. Always there, always dependable. Never sleeps, never slumbers. Call on him anytime, day or night. And he's saying, So how come the government gets more honor than your God? He says, you say I'm your heavenly Father. How come I don't get the honor of a father? How come you don't treat me with the level of respect that I'm supposed to get? So I started saying, okay, well, I see that. And he starts saying, now, in Malachi, he began to talk to the people in the 3rd chapter of Malachi. We saw this in Sunday school. 3rd chapter of Malachi, we started about the 8th verse. Actually, the 7th verse. It says, even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return? Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. Notice he didn't just say in tithes. He said in tithes and offering. And then as a result, he says, because of your robbery, he says, ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. So in terms of us not giving him the proper honor and respect, giving him leftovers, giving him the stuff that nobody else wants, just what's left, us giving the government more respect than we give our God, he says, you robbed me. You not put me in first place. He says, you've been cursed with a curse. Now, I started saying, okay. Now, in looking at that curse, he says, I want you to remember Haggai. So now, if you turn whole Malachi, we got to go right back there. But if you turn to Haggai real quick, in the 1st chapter, now, in looking at Haggai, God began to deal with the people talking about their situation, how they had gone back into Jerusalem and they had the task or the challenge of rebuilding the temple, God's house. But a little opposition came and they allowed themselves to get distracted, to lose sight of the vision that God had given them. And rather than focusing on God, they began to focus on themselves. And as a result of that same kind of robbery by taking for yourself what should be God's, all of a sudden God began to talk. And he says in the 1st chapter, and then starting at the 3rd verse, it says, then came the word of the Lord by Haggai the prophet, saying, is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? Now therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. He says, ye have sown much, and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. So again, he begins to say, doesn't it seem odd to you? You've been working hard, but it seemed like you just ain't got enough. He says, it seems like you putting all of it in a bag with holes. Every time you look around, you reach into the bag and you say, I know I put something in this bag and there's nothing left. And God starts saying, consider your ways. He says, because you're not keeping first things first. You've lost sight of the vision. So he starts saying, as you come into this new place, into this new year, into this new land, don't make the same mistakes that you made over in 2018 by having God be an afterthought, or having him getting the leftovers, or by having him get a portion of what remaineth. He says, consider your ways. Keep me first. Don't rob me. Don't steal from me. Now, when I go back to Malachi, after he says that ye are cursed with a curse in this 9th verse, in the 10th verse he says, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. In other words, the blessings of the Lord so abundant, so overflowing, that there's going to be more than you can even handle. But that's provided that you don't steal from him, don't rob him, don't give him the lame, the blind, and the leftover, and the stuff that you don't want. You're ready to throw it away, and now you say, oh, I'll go donate it to the church. And he says, give me the honor that I deserve. And then he says in this 11th verse, and I will rebuke the devourer. That's that person who putting them holes in the bags. He says, I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts. In other words, you're not going to just all of a sudden start losing stuff. Sometimes you seem like, I can't hold on to no money. He said, that's that devourer loose in your midst. If you want to have that devourer taken out of your midst, and you want someone to rebuke the devourer, you got to take care of God. So I said, okay, Lord, I see that. So we're talking tithes and offerings. He says, wait. I told you you're starting in Malachi, but you're not going in there. The concept, the tithe is what you owe. See, God expects for you to pay your tithe. That's why he equates that to robbery when you don't give him what you owe. You owe that to the Lord. Then he told me the offering is the seed that you sow. You owe a tithe, you sow an offering. So he says, now if you want to start seeing supernatural blessings and supernatural returns, he says, after you have paid your tithes, you have to make sure that you sow your offering. Now, if you know about sowing seeds, the size of your harvest depends on your level of sowing. Let me say that again. The size of your harvest depends on your level of sowing. So if you want a significant harvest, you got to have a decent seed. One seed doesn't get you a whole field to harvest. So you can't simply say, I paid my tithes, let me give this dollar for an offering, and expect that that dollar is going to lead to you being a multi-millionaire. It's not lotto, folks. It's not like you took the dollar and bought a lotto ticket and you waiting to hit. God is not a slot machine. I'll put a dollar in and pull a lever. It don't work that way. God starts saying tithes and offering. He says, but now, after you have that understanding, I want you to get to the fact that we are in the beginning of the year. And you've just come over into a new land, into a new year. So I'm not focusing on tithes because that's something you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have that under control. I'm not even focused on the regular offering that you all give. He says, I want you to talk to them about a special offering called first fruits. So then he starts saying, and I'm saying, Lord, why and what do you mean? I mean, I understand, we give first to you off the top in terms of our tithe. We're not supposed to give off the bottom. We take it right off the gross. We treat you better than the government. We give you first and we pay our tithes first. And I understand, isn't that first fruit enough? He said, no. There is a special offering. It is an offering of first fruit. And he starts saying, he says, a couple of things that I want to show you real quick, and then we're going to get a little deeper into it. He says, if you look in Romans, the 11th chapter. 11th chapter and the 16th verse. All I need is one verse. It says, for if the first fruit be holy, the lump is also holy. And if the root be holy, so are the branches. So God began to say, look, if you want the whole year to be holy, how you treat it in the first month of the year, in January, will determine how the whole year is going to look. Because we're dealing with first fruit. You start saying, Lord, I want a good 2019. I come up with a plan. He says, okay, now you have your plan, you have your vision. If you start off with me, and you treat January in a holy fashion, and you deal with first fruits in January, you set up the rest of the 90%, the rest of it to be blessed. If you've done what you're supposed to do in January, you've done your planning, you have your goals, you have your vision, you told God, I'm going to keep you first. And I'm going to dedicate this year to you by giving you a special first fruit offering. So that you understand, Lord, you are my priority this year. I am going to keep you first. I'm going to give you the honor that you deserve as my exalted Father. I'm not going to make you an afterthought. I'm not going to allow my government to take priority. I'm not concerned about the government shutdown, Lord, because I look to you as my source. You are my provider. So I'm going to honor you, and I'm not going to even let my mind get worried in January over what the government is doing. Lord, I'm going to stay focused on you. I'm going to be prayerful in January. I'm going to keep you on my heart and mind. I'm going to use January as a month of consecration and dedication to make sure that you know, Lord, it's all about you in 2019. So if I make the first fruits holy, then all the rest of it, the lump, the rest of the year, it'll be holy. So you got to say to yourself, what am I doing this month? What am I doing in January to set up the rest of my 2019? So now, I said, well, Lord, help me with this a little bit. He said, well, look at Deuteronomy. In Deuteronomy, the 26th chapter, starting at the first verse, it says, and it shall be, when thou art come in unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance, and possesses it, and dwellest therein, that thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which thou shalt bring of thy land, that the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt put it in a basket, and shalt go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name there. And thou shalt go unto the priest that shall be in those days, and say unto him, I profess this day unto the Lord thy God, that I am come unto the country which the Lord sware unto our fathers, for to give us. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand, and set it down before the altar of the Lord thy God. Pause right there. So he began to let them know, when you come into your promised land, whatever you've been praying for, asking God for. Some of us was praying, Lord, just let me see 2019. Some of us was praying for different kinds of blessings. He said, when you come into the promise, whether it's a promised land, a promised year, a promised time, a promised job, whatever it is. He says, now, once you come in and God has blessed you, recognize that blessing by making sure that of the very first fruits, you take a special offering of it and bring it unto the Lord. Take it to the place where he's going to put his name, at the temple, at the house of God. Take it to his priest so that he can present it unto God. This first fruit, this special kind of offering, saying, God, I'm so thankful how you are a promise keeper, how you keep covenant, how you do what you said you were going to do. I thank you for bringing me into the land. I thank you for bringing me into the year. I thank you for bringing me into promise. Now, in addition to my regular tithes, in addition to my regular offering, when I first get there, I want to give you a special offering of first fruit. The first income or earnings that I get in 2019, I want to give you a special offering. That first paycheck, whenever that is, whatever you got, of that, pray and say, God, I want to give a special offering to show you that I am dedicating the year, the job, the situation, whatever it is, whatever's the first fruit of the labor, I'm dedicating all of it to you because you made it all possible. I wouldn't have made it into 2019 if it wasn't for you, God. Many desired to be here in 2019 and they didn't make it. God, you brought me into the year and saw fit for me to come into 2019. I must be here for a purpose. So now I want to honor you, God, so that I can fulfill the purpose and the plan that you have for me in 2019. Because I'm not here by accident. It's by your grace and by your mercy. So I'm going to put you first. See, God starts saying, if you keep him a priority, scriptures let us know if we seek him first. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And then all these things shall be added. He starts saying, if you put him first, first in your heart, first in your mind, first in everything that you do. I mean, every day you should say, I'm going to put God first. I'm going to give him first fruit of the day. When I first get up, I'm praying. And I'm going to make sure that I give God a portion of my day. It should not be God as an afterthought. When you first get up, thank you, Lord, for waking me up this morning. Thank you for starting me on my way. Thank you for giving me life, health, and strength. And the use and the activity of my limbs. Lord, bless this day. Help me to be a light to the world. Help me to be a testimony. Let me be able to have my light so shine that men would see you. Give you glory. Give you honor. I dedicate the day to you. Just like I dedicate the year to you. He's not saying, put me first. First fruit. It's not all about money. It's about your time. It's about your level of commitment. It's about your prayer life. It's about everything that you are doing. He's saying, am I first? As we start a new year, he says, now is the time to think about putting first things first. And see, we as humans, as people, a lot of times, the things that we value the most is what we tend to have as our priority. So when you value making the money the most and have money as your priority, then you want to hold on to your money. You want to work harder and get more money. It's all about your money. God starts saying, now you serving the money, you're not serving me. So since money is worth so much to you, one way you show God that he is more important is you say, Lord, I want to honor you with the first fruit, with the substance of my increase. Now, if you look at, I got to come back to Deuteronomy, but I need to take you to Proverbs real quick. See, Proverbs in the 3rd chapter, 9th verse, it says, honor the Lord with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. See, he keeps saying, when he told you with the tithes and the offerings, he says, you can prove me and see if I won't open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there won't be room enough to receive. Now he's telling you, if you honor me with the first fruits, after you've done what you're supposed to do in tithes and offerings to give you a promise on top of a promise, he says, if you honor me with the first fruit, he says, your barns will be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. All of this is indicating that God says, I want to be a priority in your life. I want to be the most valuable thing in your life. I want you to show me that I'm more valuable to you than the money that you receive. See, whenever you have an issue, a problem, you say, I can't give it. I need it. I want it and I can't give it away. He starts saying, you've made the money your God. See, some folk, they've already said in 2019, I got to get mine. They've declared 2019 to be the year of increase, but in their mind, that year of increase just simply means I am going to get more and I'm giving away less. And God says that's wrong. If you want it to be a year of increase, then you have to put God first, and it seems counterintuitive. For it to be a year of increase, you have to first give away. You have to give God his. It's just like when we talked about in Sunday school, when the prophet, when Elijah came up to the widow who was, after the brook had dried up and God sent him down to the widow's house. And he came up to the widow and she was up there collecting and gathering sticks. And the man of God started asking, saying, fix me a little something to eat. And she said, well, all I got is enough for me and my son. And I was getting ready to cook this and we were going to eat this and die. Wanted to say, don't you realize there's a famine going on and I ain't got enough? And the man of God says, yeah, I hear all that. But fix me something first. After she had purposed in her heart that she was going to do what the man of God said, and she was going to trust God and put the things of God first above her own need, and in a sacrifice decided to give as an offering the man of God something first, God then blessed her and said, now the barrel of meal shall not waste. And the oil is not going to run out. Her and her son ate many days of what she thought was just going to be her last meal. And every time she went to the barrel, lo and behold, there was still meal there. There was a miracle going on. Because she put God first. And she gave him the first of what was in the barrel. And he starts saying, you got to get your mind off of just looking at, okay, I'm trying to maximize myself and maximize my income and maximize my profits and just looking at me. And he says, saying, you got to look to God. And in order to look to God, to use God to maximize whatever you got, he says, start saying, put me first and treat me as a priority. And then I will take care of the rest. Because I'm Jehovah Jireh. I'm the God that provides for you. You're supposed to look to the hills from whence cometh your help. Your help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He's your source, not Washington, D.C., not Uncle Sam, not even your governor of the state of Florida. It says you're supposed to look to the Lord. So now if he's your source and he's your provider, he says give him the honor that he's due. Scriptures tell us to give honor to whom honor is due. Don't you think God is due honor? Oftentimes we were singing a song all in 2017 and kept singing it in 2018. And we started talking about how God made a way. You know, when our back was against the wall and it looked like it was over, we couldn't see our way, but somehow God made a way. He's a way maker. So now if God is constantly making a way out of no way for you and providing for you, why wouldn't you put him first and give him the honor that he deserves? Why do you keep thinking that you're going to do it in your own strength and in your own might? Why are you trying to hold on so tight to what you got? When God starts saying, if it's not enough to meet your need, it must be a seed. Sow it. You've been praying and promising and fasting and asking for all this stuff. And when God finally answers prayer, Are you going to just say thank you? Or are you going to show him that you appreciate him, saying, Lord, I honor you? First fruit. I want to give unto you, Lord. It's a special kind of offering. You see, because after the year gets old, first fruit has gone away. Now, you're still dealing with your tithes and your offering and trying to but you miss out on a special opportunity for a special kind of blessing. So I was saying, Lord, this seems like a difficult type of message. He says, but I don't want the people to miss out on this opportunity. This is a special time. You in January. Many of us, some people work, they get paid every week. Some folk, they get paid every 2 weeks. So many of us, we coming up to them first checks in January. Some folk who are working for the government still haven't been paid. He says, whatever it is, whenever you get it, first fruit. You say, well, I don't necessarily get paid like that. Whenever you get it, it's the first fruit of the year. You can do the same thing as it relates to your service. Serve God first. Do for God first. Make him a priority. That's the only way you're going to bring about the vision for 2019. That's the only way you're going to fulfill purpose. That's the only way you're going to have supernatural increase, is God becomes your priority. And you say, Lord, I'm not going to rob you in 2019. I'm not going to steal from you. I'm not going to take what's yours. I'm not going to give you stuff that I myself don't want. I'm not going to give you the leftover, the refuse, the lame, the blind, the halt. I'm going to give you my best, my attention, my time, my best efforts. I'm going to treat you how you deserve to be treated. Because if I put you first and make you a priority, then I know you're going to take care of me because you promised me that you would. I'm going to keep you first, Lord. I'm going to make sure that I remember in this season, at this time, as we really start this year. Right now, we have a very wonderful opportunity. This is the first communion of the year. I start saying now is a good time for dedication, consecration, to make sure that you say you're putting me first. First fruit. God says it's a special opportunity. Don't let it pass you by. For 2019, to be able to get all that God has planned and purposed for you in 2019. Now is the time to put him first and to dedicate and consecrate this year to God. Amen?